Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. Most of the time, the term real talk annoys me. But this one gentleman who's on Star Wars Theory actually used it, I think, in the correct manner. See, normally I think it's implying that up until now, you haven't been giving me real talk. What you're telling me is fake or you've been holding back the truth. But the Star Wars Theory guy, who seems like an honest, genuine person, is just sick of the politics at Disney and Lucasfilm. And yeah, I can appreciate where he's coming from. So he wanted to emphasize that he's tired and this stuff has annoyed him for years. What was it, 2014, 2012, Disney bought out Lucasfilm? And it's been such a cluster, you know what, since then. Yeah, it's hard. It is so hard not to sympathize with him. That being said, I've been contemplating what to do with this channel for a bit. It was always meant to be a little bit less serious. We'll talk about serious things. We'll talk about the issues. Got no problem with any of that. But I look around these other channels, not the Star Wars guy. He's worked hard to keep his channel open, but the Flat Earth people. How the hell do they get views? And I'm sitting here telling you real facts about real events in the real world, and these guys are making stuff up, and people flock to them. It's embarrassing. I would love to just switch to talking about Flat Earth and say, hey, I'm your new Flat Earth channel. I'll make up some pretty graphics for the background and stuff like that, and tell you all the lies that I know. But the fact is, I can't stomach that for too long. I can stomach conspiracy theories. I can lay them apart. I can analyze them. You name it. I can do it. But sitting here and telling you about Flat Earth all the time, that would not be real talk. That would be completely false talk. Let's look at the planet. I, and most humans, for the sake of argument, are about 2 meters tall. Sorry if you're from the United States or one of the other places that use them as imperial measurement, but there's a reason I want to use metric. The Earth's circumference is 40 million meters around. This is the reason why I wanted to round up height a little bit. It makes our life easy. So, 40 million divided by 2 million gives us 20 million meters around. My whole height, if I stand up straight, maybe can get myself a couple, lift shoes, pump shoes, whatever it may be. I'm pretty tall. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But I'm 1/20,000,000th the circumference of the Earth. Do you know what that's like? Like, you go out, you find one of those microscopic sands on the beach, the ones you have to look at through a microscope, and it still doesn't represent the scale from the sand to me as I do to the planet. We're not talking about the moon, the sun, the stars, any sort of thing like that. We're talking about one human in relation to the planet that they depend on. 1/20,000,000th. And these idiots think that they're going to be able to go out and detect the wind and other such things. If I stood beside that truck you see off in the distance, I would be massively undersized compared to it, but it's still nothing compared to the vastness of the planet. And these guys are going out in cars and taking pictures of themselves. Look how just going 60 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour, how there's so much wind and stuff like that. Yeah, you don't understand the basics. Humans are so small. It's been said If you got every single human in the entire planet, put them in Texas, give them an acre, or I can't remember which measurement it was, basically an acre each, they would still have room. And that's just the state of Texas. Alaska's bigger, Ontario's bigger. There's lots of things I can come up with that are bigger than Texas. Sorry, Texans, I know you pride yourself on everything being big. And you are very big, you're just not the biggest. So, like I said, I could sit here and tell you utter nonsense about how our planet doesn't react the way that our senses think it could, but our senses don't mean anything when it's something that big. If you're looking at the planet from orbit, yeah, you'd notice the curve, you'd notice the continents. If you had a powerful enough visual aid, you might even be able to notice a major shopping lot's parking area. But you're not going to be able to see down to the details of a human being unless you're the United States or Russia, where they have the ability to follow somebody. And that has been something they've been working towards for 60 years now. First get a satellite up there, and then have the electronic optics that they need to be able to zoom in. And we see this on Google Maps every day. They can do a pretty good job at zooming in with conventional technology, and most of it's probably on the older range. I don't see Google putting up a whole lot of satellites, so I'd assume most of that stuff comes from the 90s and early 2010s. We know just by our computers how much graphics have gotten better in that time. We know our own cameras. I remember old cameras with film and everything, and you used to get yourself quite a rig. You get a Nikon, particular lens, and then you're able to zoom in on the bird at that far tree over there and make it so that you have almost a close-up shot. Those cameras were never perfect, and you never knew whether you had a good shot until you developed the photos. Whereas with digital cameras, you know right away. So imagine a satellite up there that's able to take all these pictures in a second. Sooner or later, they're going to figure out you're doing some shady stuff. And that's just the march of technology. 100 years ago, they were doing the Bedford Level experiment. And I consider the Bedford Level experiment very interesting because everybody got a different result. They were looking at the same sets of data, but they all came up with something different. Want to know why? The equipment they were using was 1800s technology. It was the most advanced they had at the time, and that's what they had to judge by. And one judge saw that the Bedford level curved and dropped off to the distance, and the other one saw it going straight the whole way out. Again, more primitive technology. We're in an era where we can't even keep up with the technology that we have. Sure, you're going to go out and buy your brand new, iPhone 15 or your Google Plus or whatever it is, and no offense to you, they have that technology where you can click on somebody, it removes them from the background. Fantastic. This is 21st century technology, and it's still developing. We haven't hit the wall yet. Now, supposedly there's a wall coming when the etched circuits are going to be so small they'll be less than 1 micron between them, and you're going to wind up with electrons jumping back and forth on their own because the magnetic stream that they're in is just as attractive as the one next to them. That is at a scale approximately where we are from where the Earth is. So you get the Earth, us at 20 million times less, and then you get into the individual atoms themselves, which are a good guess would be about 20 million times smaller. It's staggering. But people who poke their hand out the window and say, "Ooh, I don't feel the Earth moving." Yeah, you don't. What a survival nightmare to a bird or a squirrel or even humans having to feel the Earth moving beneath them and figure out how they're going to jump to the next branch at the same time. Doctor Who has dealt with it a couple times about the Time Lord himself can feel everything moving, and he's got to live his life like that. But for anyone who's had vertigo, just lying down, that's a scary enough prospect with vertigo. So I want you to consider that today. If you hear some flat earth nutball, I'm not saying that to make fun of them. I'm saying they're kind of nutty if they don't realize how small they are. And kudos to them for doing their research. I'm not going to totally dismiss flat earthers because they're at least trying to do practical science. And that is a worthy objective. Their methodology might be wrong, they might be wrong, but doing practical science is always worthwhile. Even if you wind up with the wrong conclusion because of your interpretation of the data, at least you're doing something. You're not sitting there in your little armchair opening whatever cold beverage you have and saying, yep, I think the earth is flat. Nope, you're saying, hey, this is something that I tried to try to understand the world better, and I got some respect for that. But be open for people to criticize your experiment because that happens with everybody. Even the best scientific figure out there is going to wind up with their work being criticized. And this is the difference between a flat earther and, I guess you want to call them a globist. The globist has experimental evidence to prove their point. Lots of it. Whereas the flat earthers cling to the little bits, the little pieces that they find that support their argument. So, for an episode on Real Talk, go out, explore, find out what channels are out there. It'll be worth your time, I promise. And until then, maybe it's worth designing some experiments to see where you get. With that, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share, comment down below. Don't forget to click the bell icon because that'll notify you every single time we publish new material. And we hope you have a fantastic day.